Joel Peterson, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us at Four Paws Restaurant about what makes Zinfandel such a special grape and special wine. I'll just say that for anyone that sees this, any of our staff, you are universally regarded as the godfather of Zinfandel. At one point, you made 1 million cases of Zinfandel a year at your winery, Ravenswood. And now you continue to make extraordinary wines at Once and Future Wine. And of course, your son makes extraordinary wines at Bedrock. So we're honored to have you take the time today to just tell us a little bit about your passion, why it is that Zinfandel has been your your grape of choice for all these years, and what makes it different from Merlot, Cabernet, and Syrah, and what makes it so special. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Hoyt, for this opportunity. There's no question that I'm definitely up to my neck in Zinfandel, as is my son. But that's not entirely surprising because we are California born and reared. And while Zinfandel is an immigrant, as we all were, it is also California born and reared. There's more planted in California than any place else. And the bottom line is, of what makes Zinfandel interesting is that it tastes good and it's fun to drink. And it's also fun to make and it's fun to grow, which I like doing as well. Um, but I think there's no other wine in California that really captures the sunshine of California the way Zinfandel does. So those kind of dark, dreary winter days are always brightened up a bit by some Zinfandel. The other part about Zinfandel is it's been growing in California for so long, really since the 1850s. 1851 was when it arrived in California, that it got planted in some of the best places for planting grapes in California. It likes alluvial fans. It has been farmed for a long time. Some of the vines are over 100 years old. And what that means is ultimately they have very deep roots and they make very complex, interesting wine as a result of that. Wine that is really driven by the place. It is more so than California, than Cabernet vines, because Cabernet tends to be irrigated. A lot of Zinfandel, not most Zinfandel, is dry farmed, and that gives you a true sense of the soil, not a sense of the irrigation technique. Um, Zinfandel loves to be paired with food. It really works with a lot of different foods, everything from hamburgers and barbecue to far more sophisticated fare, anything that has even a slightly Mediterranean ring to it. Tomato sauce things and garlic things and rosemary things. I mean, it's just delicious with all of those things. So food is one of its primary complements. It's a better value than Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's a more satisfying drink than Pinot Noir, also a better value than Pinot Noir. You can really get a much better wine with a bottle of Zinfandel at the same price point than you can with Cabernet or Pinot.
I was
Um,
just thinking, Joel, I was just thinking the most expensive Zinfandel I can just off the top of my head would retail for under $100. Is there a Zinfandel that retails for over $100 a bottle?
Not that I know of. I think probably the most expensive one that I know of is Turley,
Yeah.
and that's about 80. But most of the really high quality, high class Zinfandels like Once and Future and Bedrock and Ridge and Bialy are all right around $40 to $50 a bottle retail. So they're eminently affordable relative to some of those other price points,
The
which we
the
know
most
seltzer.
The most expensive Cabernets in California are 100 times more expensive.
Exactly. And they're not made in any different way, and they're no more satisfying than a great bottle of Zinfandel. So, what are you paying for? You're paying
I,
for plate and or
I
you're
got
paying just for style.
I got offered some Harlan Cabernet about a month ago, and it would have to be $5,000 on our wine list. For
Well, there you go. Well, I hope you have clients for that. We hope there's still people like that out there.
I passed. I passed. I don't see the value in a
Yeah.
$5,000 2-year-old Napa Valley Cabernet. It doesn't make sense to me. I'd much
No.
rather offer a guest, your one of your wines for around $100.
Well, I'd much rather have you do that as well, of course. The other thing about Zinfandel, which Cabernet doesn't have, is Zinfandel is really history in a glass. It's really got a long history. Its history goes back to Croatia in like the 12 and 1300s. And it's got a history in Italy, where it made Primitivo. And it came to California and it's got a really long winemaking history here with really some of the founders of the California wine business, people like Agustin Harristy at Buena Vista and General Vallejo and others that really, made it part of wine history per se. So it's really important from that standpoint. And I always am a little reluctant to mention this, but it is a multi-talented grape. And that's part of the reason that it has survived through prohibition and downturns in the market and economic downturns. Uh, and that's because it can make a lot of different wines very well. And I shiver to think that White Zinfandel, I'm going to mention it positively, actually uh, really turned a lot of people on to wine drinking and to Zinfandel. And Zinfandel can make a light red, it can make a chillable red, it can make a really good standard table wine. And with the old vines, things that I work with, it can make a super sophisticated, very lovely fine wine. So it's got lots of ways that it can make people happy. But the bottom line is it tastes good and it's fun to drink at the end of the day.
Yeah, we had one of the Zoom wine tastings that we had one with you with Thomas Keller. One of the first ones was with Thomas Keller. And when I asked him what he wanted to taste, because he's not a wine guy, he's a chef, he surprised me by saying Zinfandel. And we tasted the Geyserville, the Lytton Springs from Ridge, and Turley Estate. And one of the guests on the tasting asked him what he would pair with the Geyserville, and he's he pretty much listed everything there is that you can eat. his, his first suggestion was a marinated goat cheese salad, and then there was, of course, barbecue, and then there was roast chicken and pasta pomodoro. And by the time that he'd finished listing all the things he thought Geyserville would go well with, he'd pretty much covered everything that you could eat.
Well, I tend to concur with that. And, Zinfandel has been a treasure on people's tables for a very, very long time. So it's kind of in some strange way adapted itself to how people eat. And of course, it gets made in different styles in different places, but that's all, that all kind of works into how we think about food and how we think about eating and how we keep ourselves entertained.
Well, this is perfect. This is just what I was hoping you would do for us. This will make our service staff at Four Paws more more professional and more informed about the wines that we have on our wine list. And I appreciate this your time so much, and I appreciate our friendship.
Well, I appreciate our friendship and I wish you guys much luck and good Zen sales at Four Paws.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Hoyt.